will tell you, people are watching. And the reason why I know that is because something memorable just happened a couple of weeks ago. And that is that I got a phone call out of the blue from a woman. And she said, "Hi, you don't know me, but God's been really teaching me some things. And I went on your church website and seen your sermons. And I was wondering if you could give me a call back." And so obviously I, prayed about it and called her back right away. And turns out that she was watching Prime Video and she happened to catch Noah, The Days of Noah on Prime Video. I guess it's got Doug Batchelor and Ivor Myers and several other speakers. It's a 4-part documentary. And so I called her. We had a very nice conversation and we decided to meet halfway at like a McDonald's kind of a thing because it was going to be kind of cold and rainy that day. Well, McDonald's was closed. Long story short, we wound up at Perkins and she started to share with me. And I said, "How was it that you connected with me?" And she said, "Well," she says, "I've been a Christian since 2006." Beautiful woman. She's, middle aged, probably in her mid 40s, I'd say. And she said, I watched the Days of Noah, and there were things in there that I couldn't believe that were just so clear. And she says, I just started writing note after note after note after note. And she said, and then I realized that this Saturday is indeed the Sabbath. She says, I was working at a job that necessitated me to work Saturdays. And she said, I felt like God was telling me that I shouldn't do that. And I quit. And she says, and then I went to my large church in Minneapolis. And I thought, I need to talk to the pastor and let him know what God's been, speaking to me about. So she went to the church and she went to the pastor and she said, "Pastor, I'd really like to speak with you." She says, "I feel like God is really speaking to me about some things and I'd like to share them with you." And she handed him a piece of paper with, some notes that she had taken. And he looked at it and he says, "Well, this might be a word for you, but it's not a word for me and
Mm,
or for this church."
mm,
And then he quickly said, "Well, that this is bondage and everything." And she thought, she did not like the way that he responded to that. It was like he didn't want to hear it. He
mm,
didn't want to hear anything about that. And she just felt like God was saying, "You've done what you can hear and you are free to leave." And so she's like, "Well, but I need a church." So she started googling Sabbath and Seventh Day Adventist came up. So then she started researching Seventh Day Adventist churches in the area. And she said to me, she says, "Well, I saw your online service." Hugh, I don't have an online service. I'm doing my sermon in my bedroom. Okay. So I saw your online service. Okay. So I'm like, "Okay, well, that's great." So anyway, she wanted to meet and she said that she visited several of them. Here's the thing. We need to keep our websites current, guys.
mm,
I mean, you have no idea what's going on. And I go on some church websites because I want to see how well we're doing with others. And honestly, some of the sermons are old, like from a year or two ago, and people
mm,
can't do that. I mean, now with COVID, we have to be like on top of this. That's what I'm really learning. We really have to be current with our social platforms that we have right now. So, anyway, what I did was I said, "Well, I would love to meet with you further." I said, "Our church that you would be closest to would be the Stillwater Church." "Oh, I love Stillwater. It's a beautiful, and Stillwater's beautiful. It's a little tourist area. It's right on the outskirts of the border between Minnesota and Wisconsin. It's got the St. Croix River there, dotted with cute little shops and restaurants. A beautiful town." So
mhm.
anyway, I said to her, "Well, unfortunately, our church is closed. Well, we should be opening it up soon." But I said, "Why don't we meet next week? And I'd love to introduce you to some of our female elders." And she's like, "Oh, I would love that." So we met at the park yesterday, as a matter of fact. I
Mm,
brought my female elder, and they just hit it off. And
mm.
so they are going to start Bible studies next week. I can't
Praise the
join them,
Lord.
but the week after that I will, because you know what? It's our members that need to do Bible studies. Amen. Not the
Mm,
pastors only. It's our members. And
mhm.
I've trained her right up. So she's fine. She can handle it. So they need more of a connection than just me, because
Mhm.
I have three churches. And so they need that connection. So
Mhm.
that is just awesome. I mean, here's a woman, she just learns about the Sabbath. Bam, quit my job. Bam, done with my church. Where's the new one? Don't you wish our church members would be this, a thing like that? But the thing that's so great about it is she was working at Chick-fil-A, and as soon as she quit, God gave her the next week. She was working DoorDash, making double the amount of money. She's like, "Isn't God amazing when you are obedient to Him?" Like, Amen. So that's awesome. So I
Wow.
want to tell you, people are watching. They are watching. We don't realize it, but they are. So we have to definitely keep everything current. And I'm actually also looking at my YouTube analytics, and I'm seeing a big drop in the first 5 seconds. And I'm thinking, what do we do in our sermons for the first 5 seconds? I mean, honestly, I look at my own, I look at others. Sometimes we spend 2 minutes with these inane introductions and welcomes, and it's boring. So I'm thinking, okay, what I'm going to do now, the first 5 seconds, just like with a good sermon, how you've got to get their attention right away. I'm telling you, the first 5 seconds, it's going to be the fastest intro you've ever seen, and I'm getting right into something interesting. And I'm just experimenting. I'm still like in experimental mode right now, you
Uh-huh.
know. So we'll see what happens. But I just feel like we've got to get their attention immediately.
That's
I mean,
true.
we can get their attention, and then you can say welcome to da da da, then go into a quick prayer, but then just go with it.